Is Israel committing a genocide in Gaza? The International Court of Justice is currently at the center of attention as it hears a landmark legal showdown between South Africa and Israel. Over 23,200 people have lost their lives in Gaza due to Israeli airstrikes after Hamas's terror attack on October 7th. Today, top lawyers from South Africa presented their arguments while Israel will defend itself tomorrow. To understand the situation better, let's start with the basics first. According to the United Nations, a genocide is defined as acts committed with the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial or religious group. What is South Africa alleging? In an 84-page submission, it has alleged that Israel's actions are genocidal in character, intending to bring about the destruction of a substantial part of Palestinians in Gaza. They argue that the Hamas attack on October 7th does not justify Israel's actions. The situation is such that the experts are now predicting that more people in Gaza may die from starvation and diseases. Israel, however, has rejected the genocide allegations, calling them baseless, atrocious and preposterous. They accuse South Africa of providing quote-unquote political and legal cover to Hamas, saying that it is criminally complicit with the Hamas campaign of genocide against Israel. The Israel government spokesperson has said, and I quote, "History will judge South Africa for abetting the modern heirs of the Nazis," unquote, while maintaining that the people of Gaza are not the enemy, but it's the terror group Hamas that they are targeting. What is happening in Gaza? As I said, over 23,000 people have been killed. Over 500,000 have no home to return to. 23 of 36 hospitals are not functional. 104 schools have either been destroyed or sustained major damage in total. About 70% of school buildings have been damaged, and those still standing are largely being used to shelter internally displaced people. According to reports, there's only one shower for every 4,500 people and one toilet for every 220. The humanitarian aid is not reaching the needy. A, because of Israeli airstrikes, and B, because they are not getting clearances. Injured young children are begging for food in hospitals. The WHO has also said that its aid is not reaching the victims. South Africa wants the International Court of Justice to tell Israel to stop bombing Gaza immediately, ensure protection for Palestinians, stop forced displacement, enable humanitarian access, preserve evidence, provide reparations and establish Israel's responsibility for genocide violations. The United Nations estimates that 1.9 million Gazans are displaced, facing dire conditions with diseases, lack of food, water, medicines and power. About 2/3 of the casualties are women and children. When will the verdict come out? The International Court of Justice in this urgent procedure could rule in a matter of few weeks. Its decisions are final. However, countries do not always follow the court's verdict. For example, the ICJ had ordered Russia to stop its invasion of Ukraine, but nothing happened. Not to mention the outcome on whether Israel is committing a genocide could take years. The US, UK, Ireland, Guatemala and Hungary are opposing South Africa's lawsuit, whereas countries like Colombia, Brazil, Pakistan, Bolivia, Jordan, Turkey, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Morocco, Iran and the Maldives are backing the genocide lawsuit against Israel. India, however, hasn't made its position official on this matter yet. But why South Africa? Well, South Africa's support for the Palestinian cause traces back to Nelson Mandela, who had famously said that South Africa's freedom would be incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. Is the ICJ powerful enough to stop Israel? Well, it's crucial to distinguish the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, from the ICC, which is International Criminal Court. Now, the ICJ handles disputes between nations and has never judged a country responsible for genocide. In contrast, the ICC prosecutes individuals for war crimes, crimes against humanity and genocide. Both are situated in the Netherlands in the city called The Hague. However, Israel is not a member of the ICC. That is why the case is being fought at the ICJ, as both Israel and South Africa are signatories to the 1948 Genocide Convention. It was drawn up in the 1948 in the aftermath of the Second World War and the murder of 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. As the war continues, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to press ahead until Hamas is crushed, aiming to free over 100 hostages still held in Gaza. Tomorrow, the International Court of Justice will hear Israel's counter-arguments.